So here is the piece that we so want you to understand. As you stand here in your vibrational beingness, it is that vibrational beingness that equals your point of attraction. Your point of attraction, that point where you begin the process of turning thoughts into things, of turning something that is a vibration into something that you can realize with all of your physicality. We're talking about creation here. But we want you to understand that unless you get your eye, your sensor, your attention, your focus upon this emotional center that is yours, then you're likely to continue to perpetuate unwanted momentum. If we say to you, you say, oh, there are so many things I want that more money would provide for me. And then even as you're saying it, you're feeling negative emotion because you're thinking, but I don't have that money that I want or need. So you've got both of those vibrations going on. So we say, well, let us help you clean up your vibration. So we talk to you about how you can get some money. And in your mind, you argue with us, well, I've been trying and I'm not getting any. And then we convey to you that there are many people who have been where you are standing. And then you argue with us in your mind that, yeah, you know, but you don't know what their circumstances were. You know somebody that inherited something, you really don't like that guy. And you know somebody who won the lottery, he's just a freak of nature. And then you begin remembering that you didn't inherit anything. And then you wonder why your parents didn't plan better so that you could have inherited something. And then you think about your spouse who spends like a wild banshee, and there's no point in ever trying to save anything because as fast as it shows up, it's gone anyway. And so we're trying to have a conversation with you about how you can have more money, but you're off to the races on how you feel about money, because it's not because you are a bad creator. It's not because you are a negative thinker. It's because you've got momentum of those thoughts. Those beliefs have a lot of momentum going, and you just can't stop a train that's going 100 miles an hour that way and make it go 100 miles an hour that way all of a sudden. You wouldn't want to. It's hard on the contents of the train. You don't want it to be like that. So what we want you to understand is that, yes, out there in the details of the life that you're living, it is close to impossible to, in any short order of time, change the vibration, change the thought, change the feeling, change the emotion. It's just not likely. But you could do what you've been talking about doing for a long time as humans. You could discover an unconditional alignment. You could find at the heart of that the vibrational core of it. And here's what we mean. I'm going to give you a little demonstration of how creation happens. And we're going to tell it to you in a sequence of conversation that will open within you an awareness that will make what we're going to say next and all the rest of this morning together, it will make it make sense to you in a way that perhaps it never has before. You understand the concept of momentum. We like the analogy of the car at the top of the hill. Take the brake off, take it out of gear, and you decide you'll just nudge it to see what momentum's really like. So you nudge your car, and it begins to move over the crest of the hill, and then you realize you don't need this demonstration. You know from life experience what momentum in this case will be. And so you come to your senses right away because you like your car. And you step out in front of it and you let it bump up against you, and the momentum stops because you caught it early. You wouldn't want to be at the bottom of that hill attempting to stop that momentum. So when we notice, or you notice, that you've got a belief going that doesn't serve you, and we say to you, it's simply a momentum of thought that isn't serving you, part of you wants to argue about it because you believe it because it has been happening. It's a reality that you've observed, and so therefore it seems like it should be believable. But we want you to understand that even if you decide that it is a belief that you don't want to keep active, you can't just stop believing that all of a sudden, because there's too much momentum about thoughts. Life is still delivering to you remnants and pieces of it to sort of, not with the purpose of keeping it alive, it's just the consequence. In the same way that there's no evil force trying to drag your car down the hill into a big crash at the end. It's just a natural consequence of momentum. So when you realize or this is what we want you to realize, is that there is a point, an earlier point, where the momentum is easier to stop or easier to slow. There is a point in every conversation on every subject where it's easy for you to begin the momentum in the direction of what you want. And that's that emotional place. That's that emotional center. That's that unconditional place. Hear these words and try to feel the resonance with them just a little bit. So, all right, you got that, didn't you? Everything about that makes perfect sense. There's nothing within you that argues with any of that. It makes perfect sense. So now let's introduce law of attraction to the equation, because law of attraction, which says that which is likened to itself is drawn, is of course the reason for momentum. Because when you think a thought for as little as 17 seconds, law of attraction delivers another thought to you that is like it, and now there is more momentum with the joining of the two thoughts. And in another 17 seconds, more momentum, and another more momentum. Cross the 68-second mark, and you've got momentum going. That's the point where you should have kind of wanted to get out in front of it before it bumped against you, because now, when you get out in front of it, it might knock you down just a little bit. Momentum. So let's say that you are like a normal human, and you're thinking about your day, you're thinking about your life, you're thinking about your world, you're thinking about the personal things and the not so personal things. You're thinking a lot of thoughts. You're engaged with life. And some of the thoughts you think serve you really well, some of the thoughts you think don't serve you so well, but you're just thinking thoughts because there's thoughts to be thunk, right? So here is this thought about something that you want, and you're thinking about this thought of something that you want, and it starts in a gentle place. Let's say that you started early enough in the day that it was easy to get it going in that direction, so you're thinking about what you want on this subject. It might be a lover, it might be financial remuneration, it might be purchasing business real estate, it could be any number of things. So you're focused upon this desire, and so far so good. You're thinking about it, and it feels good to you to think about it. It feels fresh, feels exciting. The idea of it really feels good to you. So you're thinking that thought, and then, because you've got a belief that contradicts it, that's in the vibrational vicinity of that subject, you think, but I cannot really afford that. So now you've got this thought of what you want and this contradictory thought about it. And so now you're not ever thinking two thoughts at the same time, but you're thinking them in close enough proximity to each other. I want it, but, I want it, but, I want it, but, that you've got a little vibrational wobble going here. You want it, but, so there's a little wobble going here. If you will step back right now and soothe that wobble, law of attraction is going to help you take that thought of desire to another place. But if you don't, the wobble's going to keep you from moving purely forward with that thought. So it goes like this. Let's say you don't catch it because it didn't feel very big, it wasn't gut-wrenching, you didn't really even notice it, you're not that in touch with your emotions, you're not that pure about your non-wobble thought yet, and so you think about how you want it, but. And then you think about how you've wanted it for a while, but. And then you think about how you hardly know anybody that's got that. And so now your thoughts are continuing. Law of attraction is causing each part of this thought to be greater. Are you getting the sense of this? But the wobble's getting greater too. So now, pretty soon, you want it, but now you're talking to your friend about it. Oh man, I've wanted this thing that I can't have for so long. Yeah, me too, your friend says. I can't even remember the last time I had anything like that. You know, I know somebody that's got it, but you don't even want to know that guy. That guy is so egotistical, centered. That guy is so hard to talk to. Doesn't want to talk to things that negate what he wants. In other words, so you've got this big time wobble going on now. Now, what we want you to feel from us, we want you to feel, so now, with us so far? You're the creator of your own reality. You're vibrational beings. You live in a vibrational universe. Everything you think is vibrational. Law of attraction is managing the vibration. And when you think about what you want in its absence, you wobble. And wobble doesn't feel good. And the more specific you are in a wobbling posture, the more uncomfortable you will become. The more specific you become in a non-wobbling posture, the more exhilaration you will feel. So your negative emotion is just letting you know all day, every day, what you're doing wobble-wise and what you could clean up if you would try a little bit. But if you'd be smart about it and want to stop the wobble before it gets going too much. Now, this may be helpful to a lot of you because a lot of you have been working really hard to try to think positive thoughts. And sometimes you say, but it's more like my thoughts are thinking me. It's like my thoughts are thinking me. And we want you to realize that's never the case. But sometimes the momentum makes it seem that way. So the rule of thumb is to get as far into the good feeling thought as you can without wobbling. And in the moment that you start to wobble, back up from it just a little bit. Back up from it just a little bit. So we can feel you're with us so far.